It's time to go back and play The Last of Us Part 2. We get a good look at Netflix's new Resident Evil series. And we get some huge DC animation news, and I've got a review of Justice Society World War II. All that and the latest and everything cool today in The Rundown. Hey, welcome to The Rundown. My name is Victor Lucas, and we do bring you the latest and everything cool, and we've got lots of cool stuff for you today. But first, we have to dedicate this episode to Nodding56, who said, when Liam Neeson says he's done making action movies, chalk up 5 more action movies. Yes, this is a guy that never quits, this Mr. Liam Neeson. I hope to one day be referred to as the Liam Neeson of nerdy reporting or video game reporting. That's my grand ambition right there. That would be fun. Anyways, let's get started with Nodding56 Rundown. One of the biggest pieces of news that's happening in nerd world today is The Last of Us Part 2 got that much promised, much expected upgrade for the PlayStation 5. The game now runs at 60 frames per second if you've got the hardware. That's a big if, though. Of course, the PlayStation 5s are very hard to find out there. Even though it has been selling extraordinarily well, it's been selling to a lot of scalpers out there, as we know. This is a contentious game. It was the Game of the Year for many outlets, including here at Electric Playground and by yours truly. I absolutely adored the game, even though it was not a comfortable game to play, as we will see in the Let's Play that we're going to do around The Last of Us Part 2. But it is extraordinarily ambitious and beautifully crafted, and honestly, a tremendous amount of fun to play. So it's going to be cool to re-experience everything, you know, at a better resolution and better frame rates, and to kind of just sink into the gameplay a little bit more. That's the thing that happens after you are shocked by the story, because there are shocking elements all the way through it, is when you go back to re-experience it, either in New Game Plus or you pop into the different chapters, you can just appreciate the tuning on the gameplay. And I found out about this update actually from Neil Druckmann's Twitter, and he cheekily says, got a PS5, which I don't know if he's making fun of how hard it is to find one of these things or not, but this is definitely big news for those that have this game and have the PlayStation 5. And honestly, if you're also a fan, because I know a lot of people don't like the game. I've certainly seen a lot of the comments on my reviews and my interviews with Neil, and I also did a separate video all about the 10 reasons why I consider The Last of Us Part 2 to be a masterpiece. I still do, and I'm actually really looking forward to diving back in. I've been holding off on playing any more of it until we got this update, so that starts today. All right, we've got something else that's very cool in the world of Resident Evil. Today, Netflix dropped a trailer for Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. This is a new CG animated series that's coming to the service in July. I believe July 8th is the launch date. And the idea here is that the story is going to focus on Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield, and it's taking place around the 2006 timeframe. But of course, this is a series, and they're going to set up all kinds of cameos and connections to the Resident Evil lore. They're using familiar voice actors as part of the cast here, and I think what Capcom and Netflix are really kind of taking advantage of is just this newfound appreciation and love. And love that's gone into these recent remakes of Resident Evil games, but also we just saw with Resident Evil 8 how awesome that was. Resident Evil 7 is an incredible game as well. Resident Evil is on fire right now. And of course, this isn't all that's coming. We've got Resident Evil 4 coming in VR and Resident Evil movie and all that. But Resident Evil Infinite Darkness looks like a lot of fun. It looks like there's some really serious tones, and then the zombies come, and there's some really creepy effects in here. This is actually my favorite bit in the trailer, where this guy's just exploding blood and everybody's running in red. It's incredibly creepy and effective, even if it's, you know, kind of video game leaning, and the cut sequences in the recent Resident Evil games have been so close to, you know, broadcast quality already. It's kind of cool. I mean, it's not hard to make that leap, to make that connection between what we play and what we're going to see in this sequence. And certainly, I don't know how you guys feel, but when we play a lot of these recent video games and you're watching amazing cut sequences come together, I often sit back and go, well, why didn't they just turn this into a show? Like, put all of that work and make a show into it? And I don't think that's exactly what's happening here, but I think what, is kind of cool is that it's not a huge leap to go from what we play to what we're going to watch in this show. I just hope that it's genuinely spooky, and that it's filled with lots of great sort of insider moments for all of the hardcores out there that know the entire lore. I'm not one of those guys. I mean, I play all of these games, I know it, but it's, there's a lot of twists and turns. I've seen all the Resident Evil movies, the live-action Mila Jovovich movies. I can't tell you what the hell is going on. So hopefully Resident Evil Infinite Darkness helps to describe, a little bit more and sort of connect the dots, I know that green stuff, you don't want to fall into it. And I know that this guy that pops up after the title, you don't want to ever run into him. You never want to have a conversation with that guy. But yeah, starts July 8th. I definitely will be watching, and I'll probably be doing some recap videos on that as well. All right. There is some awesome news that's happening in the world of DC animation. First of all, Warner Brothers shot me out a trailer for The Long Halloween Part 2. Yes, I know we haven't got The Long Halloween Part 1 yet. That comes out next month in digital, and then there's also going to be a Blu-ray release, and there'll be streaming opportunities and stuff as well. And then after that, they're going to be releasing in July, at the end of July, and in August, they're going to be releasing The Long Halloween Part 2. And The Long Halloween Part 2, of course, picks up with a lot of the storytelling. It's based on an amazing Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, I believe those are the correct people, that made this amazing series of The Long Halloween. And it's got a pretty eclectic cast in here. Jensen Ackles is playing Batman for the first time. We've got Josh Duhamel as Harvey Dent and Two-Face, which is cool. Naya Rivera is Selena Kyle and Catwoman, and she, of course, tragically passed away not too long ago. Billy Burke is James Gordon. We've got Titus Welliver as Carmine Falcone, and David Dastmalchian as Calendar Man, and Calendar Man actually has a very important role in this story. It's a veritable rogues gallery of all of the villains that we know from Batman lore, which is really cool. It's, like Arkham Asylum basically explodes out into Gotham City, and Batman has to deal with it, and he has to deal with being infected by poison ivy. I love the book when I read it ages ago. I don't remember all of the little intricacies and all of the details in it, so I'm really looking forward to re-exploring and re-examining The Long Halloween, both Part 1 and Part 2. Look at all of these different characters. It looks amazing. And it's going to be coming out in at the end of July and in August. And then what DC and Warner Brothers also said is that next year they're obviously going to collect everything in an Ultra HD collection. So it'll hit Blu-ray this year, both movies. If you want to collect it physically, it will be available digitally, of course. And then next year there will be the Ultra HD version that collects all of the stuff with all of the behind the scenes and the extra animated shorts and things that they always put into those movies. DC does a very, very good job with all of that. But that's not the only news from the world of DC animation. This really got me excited. There's a new animated show that's coming. Bruce Timm, the legend, J.J. Abrams, and Matt Reeves, who is directing the new live-action Robert Pattinson The Batman movie, are collaborating to create a new take on Batman. And it's kind of like a reinvention of the kind of pseudo-1939, vision of Batman. I wonder if we're going to see pearls falling onto a slick crime alley city street because I've sure seen that a lot in a lot of different shows and stuff. But this sounds exciting. It is coming to HBO Max, and I'm sure it'll be available all over the place. But there's also a Superman show, which is kind of interesting. This is kind of a younger Clark Kent and Superman as he's joining up with the Daily Planet and connects with Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane. Clark Kent and Superman is being played by Jack Quaid from The Boys, which is pretty cool. And he's grappling with this dual identity and his responsibilities. And that's also going to be hitting HBO Max. So even though, the whole Warner Brothers and DC Comics world is kind of in upheaval and turmoil, I can't imagine what it's like to be working on Warner Brothers projects right now because, of course, the news is out there that this massive merger is about to happen with Discovery, and there's going to be new corporate overlords that are shepherding everything and approving everything. And so stuff that's in production, like J.J. Abrams is working on crafting a new movie starring a black Superman, which sounds incredibly exciting, but there is a lot of stuff percolating and a lot of things coming, and this massive merger is, you know, well, it's going to take place next year after all the legal approvals and everything, but still, it's got to be a little bit stressful, you know what I'm saying? For my friends over at Warner Brothers Games and Rocksteady and Monolith and W Games Montreal, you know, so many cool things coming down the pipeline. But even in the midst of all that, clearly, you know, DC Animation and Warner Brothers Animation is working on some super exciting stuff. And I actually just watched a new DC animated movie that I wanted to talk with you guys about. So I've got a review on the run, on my butt, of Justice Society World War II. When I first saw the trailer for this film, I was immediately enamored. I love this era in storytelling. You know, it sort of evokes a lot of the war movies and things that we've seen over the years, but it also has that, you know, that muted sepia kind of color palette that I associate with a lot of Indiana Jones storytelling. I also used to read the Justice Society comic books quite a bit, and I just love dipping back into the 40s. I just think it's an amazing era. There's a lot of stuff to mine there for real virtue, and of course what we're seeing are superheroes fighting the Nazis, which is really cool. And the story revolves around the Flash, the Barry Allen Flash that we know from kind of present day DC storytelling, zipping back in time and encountering these superheroes that, and he doesn't really know what's going on. And he actually zips back in time and runs into them right on the battlefield as they're fighting all kinds of Nazis. And they don't know who he is. They think that the Nazis have got a superhero of their own, and they've thrown him into the battlefield. So I'm not going to spoil anything. I mean, all that stuff you can kind of see in the trailer there. But the Flash gets added to the team. There is also another Flash, the Jay Garrick Flash, which is pretty cool. And Steve Trevor is also a part of the squad. He's kind of like the military leader, and he loves Wonder Woman and asks to marry her, and so there is this, you know, this heartfelt kind of sentimentality, the real relationships. Carter Hall's Hawkman thinks about the lives that he's had and the love that he's had throughout time, talks about that a little bit. Black Canary's got some pretty cool scenes in this. What I really enjoyed about this movie is that they had cool heroic moments, but they didn't rely on Superman and Batman. You know, they didn't go to their go-to superheroes that sort of, you know, lead the charge on almost all of their properties, which you know, I don't mind that. I love Superman and Batman, but it's cool to see that they've got lots of people that are, you know, in the shadows a little bit, coming forward and doing such a great job. Wonder Woman, who is portrayed by Stana Katic, I hope I say her name right. She does an excellent job as this character. It's definitely evocative of the Gal Gadot performance. Which is cool. I mean, there's even echoes of some of the theme music and stuff, which is pretty fantastic. I like her. Matt Bomer plays the Flash and the Barry Allen Flash. He does a very good job. I was also super impressed by Omid Abtohi. He's a great character actor. You've seen him in a ton of things. But what happens in this movie is that we go from battling Nazis to battling giant monsters, and it gets a little bit crazy, but that's kind of par for the course with you know, superhero team-ups, is you have to kind of scale up the opponents, because all of these superheroes are obviously outgunned and you know, they can completely take apart the Nazis. I gotta tell you, it never gets old watching superheroes punch the crap out of Nazis. It's very fun to watch all that. I love the Captain America movie as well, where he was doing the same thing. So and the Captain America video game where he's punching Nazis. Fun. It's always fun. It's good to see that. And it's great when we're in those moments, but of course, yes, they have to scale up the enemy confrontation, and they do that in an intelligent way, which I won't spoil, which adds a whole bunch of new layers and flavor to this, and some really nice shocks and surprises. And overall, I mean, this was a pretty terrific film. You know, it definitely reminds me a lot of Justice Society comics that I've read in the past, and Justice League comics that I've read in the past. I enjoyed the performances. I enjoyed the animation style. I loved the kind of muted color palettes. It was very, very good. I don't know if it resonates as, you know, with some of my favorite of the DC animated stuff out there. but I really did enjoy this. It's not Mask of the Phantasm, but it's an excellent movie for fans of the Justice Society and the sort of deeper DC Comics lore. I think you're really going to dig it. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Okay, and I've got just a couple quick things to tell you about here. This was a trailer that released today from Devolver Digital. It's for a game called Sludge, or the Sludge Life, and what you're doing in this game is you're a graffiti artist, and you can pee into toilets, and you've got the ability to kind of create havoc and be chased and piss people off inside of this very interesting, weird-looking city environment with bird people and all kinds of googly eyes, and I just thought, and a cat with 2 butts, not just 1 butt. It actually had an extra butt. I just think it looks so fresh and, you know, stylish and par for the course with what we come to expect from Devolver and their amazing connoisseurs, you know, the people that work in signing up these different projects and bringing out these weird games to us. Devolver never really lets us down, and this Sludge game looks like it's going to be a blast. It looks crazy, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to check this one out. I also have some news to report about the Summer Game Fest, which our buddy Jeff Keighley puts on, and this is the second year, and of course he put on the Game Fest last year in sort of a reaction to what we were doing, all staying at home, not being able to meet at events. And this year, obviously, had a little bit more time to prepare, so there's going to be a big kickoff night on June 10th, which is going to have a bunch of exclusive reveals, which Jeff loves to do. He loves those exclusives, so we're going to find out about a bunch of new things that are coming out this year. He's been working really hard, as he always does, making connections and relationships with all kinds of publishers and developers out there. I can't wait to see the surprises that he's got, so keep your eyes peeled. I love that the trailer's got a nice prominent spot for the turtles. I think it's amazing that the turtles are back so big this year. But keep your eyes peeled for the Summer Game Fest, which kicks off on June 10th. I've got one last thing to tell you about, and this one's kind of cool. It's kind of in the spirit of the Pac-Man 99 game and the Tetris 99 game. Well, Konami wants in on that action. They've got Super Bomberman R coming up. It's a battle royale experience with up to 64 different players. It's a free-to-play game. It's coming to the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4. And I think Steam, I believe that this has already been playable and available on Stadia for a little while. And it has cross-platform play, which is kind of crazy. This is, you know, they never really changed the gameplay for Bomberman games, but what they did do is change the amount of players that can play in real time. It's absolute carnage, and it always has been. It's like, I love these games, but they're always so frustrating. So what can make it even more frustrating? Play against 63 other people, right? I'm sure it's going to be a blast. So that comes out at the end of the month. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and it's free, so you can jump in and shake your fist at the TV. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for the rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow with a fresh episode. Thank you for clicking that subscribe button and that little bell to get notified, and thank you, of course, and especially to all of our EPN members. We'll see you tomorrow, and until then, play forever.